How's it going? It's Bill Corbett, and welcome to 2016. This is the first program of the year for me. I'm keeping this into my Grow Your Personal Brand series of activities and marketing strategies that you can take for your brand. We're here to talk about ideas for growing your business, and in particular today we're going to talk about LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can be used by salespeople. And a lot of times, and if you're signing on, say hello please, love to see you, who you are and what you're talking about or where you're from. Love to have you. A lot of people that I've presented to and a lot of groups that I've talked with have challenges when it comes to using LinkedIn, and in particular for salespeople. A lot of salespeople are kind of afraid to use LinkedIn. They don't get it, and they complain a lot about it not being very productive and helpful for them. So I figured I'd do a Periscope today, which will be a blog tomorrow or later in the week, on this topic about how to use LinkedIn, how salespeople should use LinkedIn. If they don't, they're at a competitive disadvantage. Studies have shown that if they're not using LinkedIn, they're losing leads. About half of all leads that come in, those people will check out a salesperson's profile, and if they don't have a profile or it's incomplete, half the people won't even consider you. So right there, if you have 100 leads, you're down to 50. So you want to make sure that you have that. So from a competitive disadvantage, there's a lot of excuses, and I wrote some of them down for some of the people who have, I've spoken with, who say, well, what are some of the reasons why salespeople don't use LinkedIn? And I have, I'm not getting leads. I'm not getting any leads. It's a waste of my time. I'm not getting any ROI. It's return on investment, return on investment. And I call it ROE, return on effort. It's the time, time is money, time is effort. If you're not getting the return, then why are you doing it? Salespeople complain about that. Too much time needed? Yes, a lot of time is needed to do LinkedIn properly. It is work. It takes people time to get used to it, learn the system and how to do it right. I'm going to say game the system, but learn how to do it the appropriate way. So it does take some time. Or I don't have the time. I hate that excuse, and everybody in this day and age is saying, oh, I don't have too much. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough hours in my day to get stuff done. I'm going to tell you, you do. You do have enough time. You got to make the time. Billionaires get up 3 hours before everybody else. And why do they get up 3 hours before everybody else? Because they're motivated people. They're highly motivated, and they want to succeed. They get up many hours early. 3 hours before the workday, on average, a billionaire gets up. So that's one tip. So I don't like the excuse of I don't have enough time, and I can't find or reach the right people. If any of you have the same challenges, feel free to comment away. I love to see them, or ask me any questions about LinkedIn and how you can use it better. But let's talk about, I'm not getting enough leads from my LinkedIn activities. Where I would start would be, I would look at my profile and make sure that it is complete 100%. There's the different varying degrees of completeness of a LinkedIn profile. If you're not what they call an all-star level, and not all-star, that means a complete level, you're at a competitive disadvantage, and fewer people would be able to find you. And what happens when people do find you and do look at your profile? Well, it comes up. LinkedIn tells you how many people and who has viewed your profile in the past month or two. And those people right there are primary leads for connecting with, relationship building with, and potentially to do business with. So that's key. So you want to have a well-written profile so that people can find you, and you can at least get those opportunities. That's more of a set it and forget it strategy. So some other things you can do to get more out of LinkedIn. You want to respond to your messages. People may not log into LinkedIn every single day. So when you do log in, you should communicate quickly with the people that have sent you a message and communicate back with them, right? So the good thing about LinkedIn and messages that I like is the fact that they're in a silo. They're separate from your other email and your other communications, and they're directly on LinkedIn, and it's a place where you can keep track of them and communicate back with people. And they say that LinkedIn InMail is more effective for communicating with people just because it is not part of that overall mess of emails, those newsletters and those e-blasts and all that other stuff that we get. It's a separate silo. And then what's also cool is if someone sends you a message, you can immediately, if you don't know them well or you want to remember where you know them from, you can immediately go into their profile. So if you're a salesperson and you're prospecting and people are contacting you and you're contacting them, it's a much more efficient way of doing it. So that helps with the ROE effort, the return on effort. You want to save time in other ways. A couple quick ways to save time include having all of your messages pre-written. So if someone does send you a connection request, or someone sends you a message, an endorsement perhaps, or a congratulatory message, those are all different action points that allow you an opportunity to communicate with the person who's interested in you, even if it's for a fleeting moment. So if they gave you a congratulations, send them a note back. Maybe have that pre-written. Hey, I had a congratulations moment the other day. My Grow Your Personal Brand business has been up on LinkedIn for I think 7 or 8 years, and I've gotten about 60 or 70 people who have said, "Hey, congratulations." What did I do? I went to each of those people and I thanked them, for congratulating me. It was easy for them; they just hit a button. But I spent a minute or two and I sent them a specific message back saying, "Hey, thank you very much, and this is what I'm up to now. What's up with you? Tell me something. What's going on?" It's all about the engagement. So when you're in sales and you're working on developing your sales pipeline and relationships, referral sources, or whatever, you want to be, certainly in the process of doing whatever you can to start an engagement conversation with people. So that's congratulations. It doesn't matter. It could be someone who's a new connection, or somebody gives you a recommendation. Now, recommendations are interesting because they're a written description of who you are and why you've worked with that person. The cool thing about them is once you get a recommendation done, LinkedIn prompts that person, prompts you to write a recommendation for that person and vice versa. So you want to be able, that's a good way to engage with somebody and build some rapport. Now, endorsements, on the other hand, a lot of people don't like endorsements, and if you don't like endorsements, you're not alone. The problem with them is that they are kind of forced upon you, and when people are forced to endorse you for things that you may or may not be what you're going for, they may not match what your brand is all about. So you want to make sure that when someone endorses you and it's wrong, you communicate with them back in the appropriate way and say, hey, for example, if someone endorses me for forensic accounting, I'm not a forensic accountant, I reply back to them and say, hey, thank you for the thought, but by the way, that's not an area where I am an expert. I prefer if you write me down for, or recommend me and endorse me for personal branding, marketing, etc. So that's one strategy. So having those things that are pre-written. So the goal here is to have as many response triggers as you can possibly have. And again, for salespeople, it can be a challenge. So let's talk about some other things. I don't have enough time. It takes too much time. Well, like any part of marketing, you have to invest time, and really, it's a long-term strategy for building your brand, building relationships with people, and getting to know them. And LinkedIn is, it's all about relationships. So what do you need to do? Here's a couple of quick strategies. One is you need to have what I call a time budget. And what is your time budget? Your time budget is how much time you're actually going to spend each week on LinkedIn. The average person today who uses LinkedIn only uses it about 15 minutes a month. And that's not very much. So either you got to catch people who are using it in those short periods of time, or you got to become one of those users who uses it a lot more frequently. When you're going to use it, how often you're going to use it, and when you're going to use it really is your schedule. What is your schedule for using LinkedIn? Are you going to do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, or 12 noon at lunchtime, or on your way home, or at night when you're watching television? So you want to create a schedule. Now the great thing about creating a schedule is you're now in a position where you can focus your attention specifically on LinkedIn. And focus is one of the major problems in business today and in marketing, is that people lose their focus. They get distracted by all these different things that are happening to them during the given day, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a social media message, whether it's a text message. All these things are hitting us. So if you set aside the specific time to work on LinkedIn, it's that's a way to really be much more productive. If you have to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night when it's quiet, that's what's right for you. Now the cool thing is that you can use Hootsuite and other types of software and sites that allow you to schedule your posts. So for example, if I wanted to put out a post every single day promoting a podcast that I'm going to be on later this week, that I could do that through Hootsuite, and I would say, okay, I want that message to go out at the same time of day as when I'm going to be on this podcast in a couple of days, so I can schedule it to do that. I can schedule my LinkedIn post to go up whenever I want to go up. So if you're working on LinkedIn, you have your schedule, you're working on LinkedIn a half hour a day, and you don't, you want to make your time efficient, then spend your time, respond to people that you need to respond to immediately, but then other things, other messages and other content that you want to put out there, put that out at a time of your choosing. And here's another tip for you. Did you know that Sundays between 4 o'clock and about 8 o'clock at night are a great time to be on LinkedIn? Why is that? Because decision makers, business owners, and other people are on LinkedIn at that time. And they're planning out their week, they're thinking about their week, they're worrying about their week. So it's a good time to be on LinkedIn and be in front of those people because they're on there at the same time too. So that's a quick little strategy. Talked about time budget, talked about schedule, talked about some of these tools that you can use, talked about pre-writing your messages for people. Those are all ways that you can save time. Remember, time is money, and that allows you to focus on some other activities that for salespeople that are really important.